So what is our scale for this week?
I don't actually remember which one it was, but was it E flat? Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay, good. So we had a little issue with half hole going up, right? So make your half hole motion more dramatic, make it bigger. And then as you're going through that, blow, because what's happening is your tone is starting to eke away from you as you ascend. Try that again. Better. So it's just a little bit of water in your side octave. Okay, so now what I want you to think about is when you get to that second octave, I'm going to do that second octave again. And regardless if there's water in that second octave hole, the vent, don't worry about it. What I want to make sure is that the intonation, when we round the corner at the top, C, D, E flat, that E flat doesn't, the D and the E flat don't all of a sudden jump significantly higher. So what do you need to do that?
Stay open more and back off 30.
Yeah. Much better. That keeps the pitch down. And even if you've got a reed that's starting to die, we shouldn't have notes that will significantly stick out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, good. So now, for next week, I want to hear D flat.
All right.
2 octaves. Mm-hmm. I'm going to add the arpeggio, so you're going to bounce off the bottom, right? What's your arpeggio? How do you build it?
It's 1, 3, 5, 8, and then the second octave and opposite.
So what are the notes in the arpeggio?
D flat. It's okay for finger through.
Yeah.
D flat. F. A flat. D flat.
Mm-hmm. So. Here's the tricky thing with D flat. How are you going to finger that F if the next note you're going to play is A flat?
It has to be it can't be left, so it has to be either forked. Well, it wouldn't want to be right, so it has to be forked.
Yeah, it has to be forked. Yeah. Good. So you have to remind yourself, remember when we talk about scales and you say, what's my key signature? Are there any special things? This is one of those things. Try that. But that's going to have to be forked F, right? So then it's blowing through the forked F so that we don't get a big tone change, right? It doesn't go from nice and open D flat to super stuffy nasal. So to overcome some of that tone change, make sure that you stay nice and open like you were for D flat. And then what you're going to do is start to focus your air. So try this for me. So now do F, A flat, F. So attention to blowing gets you that nice even tone, right? Good. So when you're playing your scale, just tack it onto the end of the scale so that you'll bounce off that bottom note, okay?
All right.
All right, good. Okay, let's move on to your articulation exercise. What key are we in?
Concert C.
Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and just play that real quick?
Sorry, I wasn't thinking about the key signature.
Yeah, and nicely, right? A nice taper. Don't just let it go. Okay, good. So, keeping your C major in mind, and that it's a bunch of arpeggios, right? Okay. Let's hear it.
Sorry, the water's kind of distracting me.
Yeah, try to just blow through that.
All right. Should I start from the beginning or?
Start here, and keep in mind that when you get to this F, you have to do left F as well. Or forked.
I don't know. I think it might be the camera like affecting me. I don't know. It's just kind of like getting in my.
It's okay.
All right, and you're running low battery.
Oh.
I don't know if that stopped it, but.
No idea.
All right.
No, it looks like it's still rolling. Don't worry about
All
it.
right. Sorry.
It's good. Blow up too, but don't tighten, right?
My mouth is like, wow. I don't want to make excuses. I'm just getting tired in the middle of it, and it's like.
It's okay. We're gonna fix that with your breathing schema. Start here. Okay, so remember when we talked about for the progressive melody about your breathing, and what was the big thing we talked about last time?
You have to like find a quick place to breathe. Like, otherwise, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, quick places to breathe, but also
Like breathing out before.
breathing out. So at no point did I hear you breathe out, except when you had to stop. Because you were just piling on air and piling on air and piling on air. So we're gonna go through and just schedule it. Okay? So T ya ta ta T ya ta ta T ya ta ta ta. ti, ta, 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 ti, ya, ta, ta, ti, ya, ta, ta, ti, ya, ta, 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 ti. Here, you really can catch an in and out if you need to. Here, and then here, or here. Those are opportunities to breathe out or in, not both, and not in both times. Because you don't need to breathe between here. That's only 4 measures. And even at a slower tempo, you don't have to breathe by then. So then, ti da 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 ta ta ti da 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 ta ta ti ya 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 ta ta ti. Ti ya ta ti da ta 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 ti ta 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 ya ta ta ti 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 da ti ya ta ta ta. That should be able to get you to the end. So at no point do you have to go longer than 4 measures, right? But it has to be consistent and the same every time so that you can plan it out and get comfortable with that.
All right.
It's just a little haphazard the way you're breathing right now. It's like kind of wherever and whenever, and what that does is it throws off the motion of the music and it throws off your momentum. And I think it gives you sort of a sense of start to panic.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to panic.
All right.
Okay? So practice this breathing schema. Okay?
Okay.
And then it will be much better.
Yeah.
But just stick with this breathing schema. So when you got these short ones here, decide if you're going to do in or out. And I don't care which one you do, but I want you to mark it, and then you're going to follow your decision. If you change your mind, just change the marking. But mark it on there.
Yeah.
It will help you. The simple act of writing it down will help you.
All right.
Okay? All right, let's go to the next one.
The next articulation or the melody?
The melody.
Melody flip.
Very. Or it's like your book's been creased there.
Maybe.
Haha, good. Okay, so last time we really focused on the breathing in this one, right? And keeping the triple and the duples different, right? Can you sing the
Yeah.
right here?
Da 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 da. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti ta. Right? So try from here, and I want you to just be really comfortable with the 8th note so they don't rush, and that you can get a nice accent on the first of the 8th note groupings, right? Again. And now what's happening is that you're actually, instead of rushing, which is good, you're actually dragging the 8th notes a little bit. So ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti da ta 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 ti da ta 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 ta. Don't let it become ta 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 ti da 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 ta 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 ti. Break it apart. We're going to create 2 different lines in here, right? Because you've got 2 lines here going. You got the triplety, and then you got the 8th notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the 8th notes out. Do just that much. Rest, rest, rest. Do it again. Rest. Rest. Good. Okay, now we're going to do just the triplets. Okay, so now let's do just the triplets and then the eighth notes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick a quarter note rest in between each one. It's gonna be a little funky. Take one of those rests out. So we're going to do triplet, eighth notes, rest. Triplet, eighth notes, rest. Let's throw that B on there. Don't let those eighth notes, do you hear how the eighth notes are dragging now? Da 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 dee da, rest. Da 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 dee da, rest. Rest. Rest.
Sorry, I'm just not focusing.
It's okay. Take a second. Refocus, gather. Good. Rest. Yeah. Dee da da dee. The B belongs to the line before, right? So try that again, and now just try to let it flow. Good. Okay, now bring the tempo down, and we're going to take all the rests out. So, da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da dee da da dee.
It's not, the eighth notes aren't like smooth, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because they're not organized in your brain. These are little groups. The reason I put them two together and then put a gap is because it's a little repeated motive. Da 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 dee da, and then you just do that same thing again, starting on a different pitch. Da 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 dee da, another thing. Da 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 dee da dee da da dee. It's the same little motive 4 times, right? So the notes that you can focus on for the beginning of each one, because these are stepwise motion, right? You're just going up and down the scale. So you need to know which notes you start on. So E, F, E, F. Do that. Good. Good. Now go da, dee da, da, dee da, da, dee da, da, dee. F, B. Good, that's the structure. Those are the bones. So then the rest of it is just stepwise motion. So you don't really have to read each note. You need to know the line, the contour of the line, and then you need to know which note it starts on.
All right.
Right? So now try that again, down tempo, and go towards the beginning of each one of those repetitions.
The whole.
As written,
Okay.
just down tempo. Yep, so you have that repeated note in here. Dee da, tee ta ta tee. Okay, try that again, And I want you to stay down tempo, but I want you to group it. Da 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 dee da 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 dee da. As you can see, your dynamics are also hinting at that for you. Better. So that was much more organized sounding. It didn't sound like you were guessing. Okay, try that again. Good. Okay, so now you know how to break it down. You go through like we just did, play just the eighth notes, play just the triplets, put them in groups of 2, put them all together. This is going to be just a little bit of time with fingers, right? So now you've organized it in your brain, right? Okay, good. So let's start back here at the beginning. And the big things I want you to focus on are just nice big full tone. It's forte. And this is a march or a waltz?
A march.
Right. So marches are confident, right? Okay. Yeah, start on those these pickups. Okay. So here, this is just watch your half hold here. Dee, da, 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 dee, da. Same thing. It was fine here as you started to get through it. The half hold got a little, it crept in on you here. So just be very careful of that one. And then here, what fingering are you going to do there?
I was just planning on doing left E flat, but I don't have to. I could probably go up to right.
You could do left E flat. It's just didn't seem like you were totally confident in the choice you had made. So if you're going to slide, that's fine, but just know that that's what you're going to do. You can. There's a bracket. Have I ever shown you this marking before for a slide? Okay. Sometimes in the run of notes like this, you can forget. So I do a marking that's kind of like this, that looks like a little bridge. Basically that means that I'm bridging from one note to the next. You don't have to use that marking, you can use whatever you want. But it's a good reminder, because otherwise you can get into a piece and get confused about what you decided. So sometimes marking that you're going to slide is helpful.
All right.
Okay, so why don't you try here and da 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 dee da da dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da da da, right? Crescendo all the way through that. So dee da da, and then this is a new little idea. It's going to lead you into this. So start on those 3 pickups. Should be the high point, right? Dee-da. So don't shy away and don't make it short. You'll still have time to breathe because you can actually create a little bit of time. Right? Because then we have different character here, change of character, our piano character. Okay, so start here again and then let's start into the piano character.
I'm just messing up the finger things, like messing with my brain.
Okay, so let's break this down then. Dee da da da, dee da da da, dee da da da. Stepwise scale. Stepwise or leaps?
Stepwise.
Yeah, so it just goes da 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 da, and then so basically you just need to know what your next note to start on.
That's
right.
That's the problem. Like I'm not thinking about it very much. Yeah, it's just I know what to play. I just can't think about it when I'm actually doing it. I don't know.
Right. So you need to organize it in your brain. So da 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 da. So we're gonna fix the top note first because that's gonna give you where to start. Do you need to really look to see where it ends, or do you know?
No, I know. It's just like 4 notes.
Yeah. So da 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 da. So you don't have to know where it ends. You just need to know where it starts. So what are the top notes?
B, A, G.
Yeah. So that's the outline of the melody. Right? 3 blind mice? Good. Okay. So now, B, A, G. Play B, A, G. Okay. Now, don't look at your music and play the line. Good. You were a little hesitant on the G. Remind yourself, B, A, G. And now. Good. Yeah, and then try not to just throw it up there, but D, ya. It's a continuation of that lower octave D. So, good. I want you to do that again without looking, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put a little tiny break. 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 Better holding it. Okay, so what's happening is that I can see that you know what's happening in this chunk, and then you're not thinking ahead. So what's the line again?
B, A, G.
Yeah. B, A, G. Okay, do it one more time. Better, better. Now, start here, and you can look.
Sorry, here?
The 3 pickups. Da, 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 dee. Much better. Much better. That was more organized. It didn't sound as loose, right? So what this is when you get into these running 8th notes and then later running 16th notes, like in the articulation study, you have to know where your anchor points are. We've talked about that before, right? Those points, the note you're going to or coming from. And then once you recognize those, then you know where you're going to and coming from. It helps you organize in your brain, and then it's not just a big long line of notes, right?
Yeah.
That you're just trying to like get through.
Yeah.
You just have to go from point A to point B instead of A to Z. It's much easier that way.
All right.
Okay, good. So that's what I want you to do through all of these. Because do you notice how all of these are... It's all the same thing, right? 3 sets of triplets that either step down or step up. So that's how would you organize that in your brain?
Just like, probably just by the stepwise motion, like, you don't have to think about the in-between stuff.
Yeah. But know where the next repetitive chunk starts, right?
Yeah.
So if this was B, A, G, what would this one be?
Also, well, B, A, G as well, I don't know.
Yep, this one just has a little change in the contour. Instead of da 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 da, it goes da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. Try that. Good. Now, don't look. Same motion. Good. Okay, so that's how I want you to practice those. Identify the important notes, and then play it, and then look away. If you can look away and do it, you don't have to permanently memorize it, but if you can look away and do it, that means that you've sort of intellectualized the line, okay? Good. So now, we hit here, we've hit all of these little guys. All right, so your breathing schema, where did you decide?
I didn't really think about it, but probably where the marks are, I guess. I don't know where we already marked.
Oh, okay. So for next week, I want you to really look at the breathing schema on both of these. It's going to really help. And it'll help with your confidence as well, because you won't feel like that panic of breathing, because it's very difficult to focus when you're feeling like you have to breathe because you feel like you're drowning. Okay?
All right.
All right, good. So we're going to make time for reads. And then, so for next week, this same one, and we're going to try to finish up with this next week. So really just take nice slow practice on this to organize it, and then speed it up.
All right.
And the same thing with your articulation study, okay?
Okay, I have a lot of spare time because I only have 1 day of school next week. And that's only just because of just random circumstance. But I have this entire weekend, including Memorial Day, and then a field trip Tuesday, normal, then another trip.
Great.
So it should be fun.
Great.